You're listening to Seek Travel Ride, a podcast all about taking incredible bike adventures. And if you love the conversations that you hear on the podcast, you can experience them live. Join me in London on May 14 and 15 for Beyond the Bike. It's going to be a special night of adventure cycling stories, bike adventure film screenings, and a live Q&A with a panel of previous podcast guests. Tickets are on sale now. They will sell out fast. So make sure to grab yours at the link in the podcast show notes in your podcast player app. Today's show sponsor is Old Man Mountain. If you're into bike adventures, you need to strap gear on your bike. Old Man Mountain have the right equipment to get you there on your bike travel journey. Check out their new product line, Hemlock Bag with Flip Cages. Check them out at oldmanmountain.com. Support the brands that support the podcast. And now, let's listen to today's episode. Hello everyone, Bella Malloy here, host of Seek Travel Ride, and welcome to another midweek mini episode where I look to keep your wanderlust and stoke for bike adventures fired up by sharing stories from our listeners of the show. This week, I am thrilled to be taking you on an adventure through Sweden. I have Peter from Gravel Odyssey in Sweden sharing one day of his trip there and telling us all about what it's like to ride some of the beautiful gravel roads on one of the islands up there. So let's listen to Peter share one day of his trip.
Bella, thanks for having us on your podcast. It's a real honor, really. You know, we listen to it a lot. We love the sharing and the inspiration, and we're humbled to be part of this community now. Just want to tell you a little bit about a very special day that we had at Gravel Odyssey. And just to explain what that is, my partner Henrik and I, who met a number of years ago, both two gravel cycling enthusiasts, identified the need to make gravel biking, and in particular bike packing on gravel, easier. We want to get more people out in nature and to be able to explore and get out there without the big hurdles. And the hurdles are getting all that equipment that you need to do this, the tent, the sleeping bag, and the equipment to cook food, and so on. And also having to carry that. A lot of people find that a little bit scary. They've got enough carrying themselves, long days on that bike. So we established Gravel Odyssey and have since had a number of adventures on the island of Gotland, which is in the Baltic Sea, just off the coast of South Sweden. Beautiful, beautiful island. And we also do social rides in the Stockholm area weekly, and that's to build community, to let people meet each other and find people with the same interests. And so far, so good. A year and a half into this, we're really, really enjoying it. But we thought we'd share a really special day from our Gravel Odyssey Gotland North last year at the very end of May, when we explored a very, very small island on the top of Gotland called Fårö, and in English that would be Sheep Island. I don't know if the island is so well known for sheep, but it's certainly well known for Ingmar Bergman, a great Swedish director who spent a lot of his time up there. He really, I'd say, put it on the map. But going back to this very special day, 31st of May, I believe it was, we're a crew of about 10 people. We wake up on the main island of Gotland early in the morning. I have a great breakfast at the hostel where we're staying, and we roll down to the ferry that's going to take us over the strait up to this smaller island. And it's just amazing to be on a ferry, on the sea, seeing that little island and wondering what we've got ahead of us. All of us, myself and Henrik included. And how are the people going to react to cycling along the coast of this island, which will be about 120K or something like that. So as soon as we come over, we hit single track and make our way along the west coast of this island, cycle through big fields, past old ancient houses and small fishing villages where you still have quite a lot of people actually out there fishing every day, which is just amazing with their small boats, and people come down and buy fish and so on. As we continue up, I mean, the turf is just something else. It is a lot of single track. It's a lot of gravel roads, small stretches of sand, which can be a little bit difficult, but still everyone made it. And these are not all experienced riders. It's really a mix of young, older, male, female, those who've done long travel, bike packing, and those who've basically been commuting to work. We also had some cobblestone, which is interesting in itself, but you can ride that as well. Just take it easy. We're out there to be in nature, not to be competitive. We had a supporting vehicle with us, which I think really added to the adventure and also to making it a little bit easier. So it's about 2 hours into the ride on this day. The vehicle had parked up along the coast, and as we approached it, there was coffee ready for us and a bit of snacks. We could talk a little bit about the first couple of hours and also what we had ahead of us, and just stretching our backs and legs. About 20 minutes, 30 minutes of rest, new blood in the legs, and we continued up the coast to the very, very north of the island. But as we come along, we start riding through paddocks with sheep and cows, and for every time you enter a new paddock, you have to open a gate, you have to let everyone through, and then you close the gate, and this continues. And throughout the day, we actually did this 26 times. And I think for a lot of people that haven't been in Sweden and don't know how open nature is to the public, I mean, this might seem a little bit strange, but in Sweden, you're actually allowed to basically enter any ground, if it's public or if it's private, doesn't really matter, as long as you take care of it and as long as you're careful and you leave it behind the way you found it. So riding through these paddocks and being so close to nature and the sheep and so on is really not a problem. But again, it's in a responsible way. Now, at the very north of this island, there's just beautiful beaches. And there, again, we're set up with the vehicle waiting for us about halfway through this, with lunch, whatever we need to drink, water to fill our water bottles, and some energy in that, and just hanging out. Absolutely lovely and much needed. I mean, 50, 60K if you run on just normal gravel roads isn't that far, in particular if you don't have your luggage to carry. But single track, a bit of cobble, a bit of sand, and you need the break. So we spent some time up there, and as we start rolling after lunch, it happens. Sky opens up a little bit, starts drizzling, and more rain. But this crowd is just absolutely amazing. It was still relatively warm outside, even though temperatures dropped, but it was just smiling faces. And it's like, well, this happens. It's nature. You stop, you put a little bit more gear on, your raincoats, and we just continued pedaling and towards kind of the east side and coming down, passing one of the famous lighthouses out on this island to guide ships, and it's been there for hundreds of years. And then we continued down and through these paddocks, and again, more animals and just beautiful nature. The rain stops, and then we approach kind of a cool kind of surfery place, restaurant where they serve lighter snacks and pizzas, and that's where we had dinner. And as we were sitting there, the sun came out again, and just a very, very, very happy crowd. We were laughing and telling stories not only about the day, but adventures that people had been on before. Just all around happy. I think we probably spent well over an hour, maybe an hour and a half there, just chilling. And then from there, we had probably an hour left to get back down to the ferry that would take us back to the hostel where we were staying. And I don't know, that for me, that was probably the most beautiful piece or the most beautiful hour of that day. as we were coming down that east side of that small island, the sun was setting, the sky was turning, all these beautiful colors of red and purple and pink. We continued just along the coast, and you still see some drops of water hanging from the trees and the flowers. We've opened gates again, and we enter this big field with small lambs, and they couldn't have been more than a few weeks old. So, there was stopping and taking pictures, and it was just warm at heart and seeing how happy this crowd was. As we approach the ferry coming down, we see it leaving just as we're rolling in. And these only head off about every 30 minutes, so I had a good 30-minute rest. And these brave girls that we had with us, they took that opportunity and they just jumped into that Baltic Sea. Slightly chilly, but what a great day to end that adventure. And once back at the hostel, I tell you, we were all finished. We were beat. It was time for bed after some more storytelling. And I'm just so excited about heading back up there the last weekend of May this year, 2025 again. Looks like we've got a good crew with us. We're actually doing 3 Odysseys this year that are planned so far, and then we've got another few special events. But we're obviously going back to Gotland North and doing this exciting stuff again. We're also exploring the south side of the island, which we did last time, and that we're doing in the very fall. But this summer, we've got a new Odyssey, which is called Gravel Odyssey Jämtland. We head off from a ski resort and a bike resort called Åre in the north of Sweden and do 3 nice days of cycling. And we're going to be accompanied by the midnight sun. And I think that's going to be very special. That's us. That's our special day, and maybe we've inspired a listener or two, or yourself, Bella, to join. And I just need to underline, we don't take so many participants on our Odysseys. We want them to be very intimate, and we get to know each other, and with a bit of luck, you create friendships for life. Thanks for hosting us on your show. It's been absolutely pleasant.
Thank you so much, Peter, for sharing one day of your trip there. It sounds like you've created something really awesome with Gravel Odyssey in Sweden, and it's a country I personally have never visited, but am now very intrigued to do so. I have definitely heard about the Swedish culture and that bond with the outdoors, and gosh, I wish it was something that could be replicated in every country around the world. The idea that time spent in the outdoors is so energizing for us and that all land is accessible to all people is something that I think we could all really benefit from, especially with public land access seemingly being wiped away from many of us here as well. The other thing that I absolutely loved was this sense that you have created something in a bid to build on that community, that spirit which does bond so many bike travelers together, and sharing that idea that getting out together for rides through all weather, as you say, it's all part of nature, but just helps us to connect with the outdoors and the bonds that you make with it as well. It sounds like on your Gravel Odyssey trips, there's people that probably don't know each other, but there is a very real possibility of coming out of an adventure up there in Sweden with some new lifelong friends as well. And I especially love that one of the big elements that you have incorporated into Gravel Odyssey is that idea of swapping stories and sharing experiences. It's something I'm such a massive advocate for. Indeed, it's probably why I even started this podcast. Sharing stories, sharing experiences, helping new people into this part of our awesome bike adventure lifestyle. And it opens doors for many. People get inspiration from it as well. Thank you so much for sharing your stories. And listeners, if you want to find out more about Gravel Odyssey, I have provided links in the show notes. Thank you once again, Peter. Now, listeners, something that I really love about Seek Travel Ride is the idea that we have a truly global community. And something that I never considered when I started the show was that I would have people tuning into episodes of the podcast while they were actually out there actively on their own bike adventures. It was something that became clear to me when I began getting all the stats from my podcast host, letting me know what countries and what cities people were tuning in from. And very quickly I realised that a lot of these places are really out in the middle of nowhere. They're on pretty clear, defined, popular bike travel routes. And I was like, oh my gosh, people are tuning in while they're actually taking adventures. Anyway, I decided to pose the question on our Instagram account, which if you're not following us there yet, what are you waiting for? You can find us on @SeekTravelRide. But I posed the question and I said, how many people tune into the show while they're actually out there taking bike adventures? And I was blown away with the responses, so I'd like to share a few with you now. Firstly, I've got previous podcast guests, Barbara and Geordie, otherwise known as Two Locos on Wheels, and they say they're tuning in from Vietnam and they're cycling from Asia back to Europe. Well done, Barbara and Geordie. Gosh, I caught up with both of you just when you had left Ushuaia. I also have Mad Dog McGlinch, and you say you're in Epinal in France. I started in Brussels, I land in Switzerland tomorrow, and the plan is to go right around the world. That's mega! I absolutely love your journey. Felix Claridge, you said you are tuning in from a very cold South Korea. Ooh, oh, hopefully the worst of the winter is over for you there, Felix. Brian Sampson, you say you're in Indonesia at the moment and you're continuing to slowly check off the places from the book 1000 Places to See Before You Die. Oh my gosh, Brian, I absolutely love this, and my mind boggles at the places that you have seen so far, and I wonder how many are left on that list. Then I have bar.tellini, and you said, your podcast inspired me to finally give it a go, so now I'm traversing Italy north to south. That is mega! I am so stoked for you. My mind immediately goes to the food that you're going to be having on this tour, which probably does a little bit of a disservice to Italy because Italy is so much more than just the food. But you know me, I'm a food lover. I have B_on_bike. You are in Australia. And hello, Birgit. Slight tangent here, listeners. I've actually met Birgit, and she's on a mega journey. She's left Germany, went through Europe, through Turkey, through North Kurdistan in Iraq. She's toured through New Zealand, in Australia at the moment, and heading north to Brisbane. And then afterwards, Birgit's hoping to go through Southeast Asia and across the Pamirs. She's on a year-long sabbatical. How awesome! Then I have got Navigate Vikash. You're tuning in from Malaysia. Then I have Zolt Lakoti, who is currently in Chile. I love listening to the podcast when I'm in the tent or when I'm cycling on quieter roads. Now, listeners, a special shout out goes to Zolt because unfortunately you have just recently gone through the nightmare of having your beloved bike, Ulysses as you called it, not only stolen from you, but when it was found, it was actually literally cut up into pieces, which is so gut-wrenching knowing the amount of experiences that you've had on that beautiful bike. Also, a beautiful shout out to Surly Bikes, who are currently sorting Zolt out with a replacement. Legends. And Zolt, I really hope that you can pick yourself up from that and get on the road and continuing traveling as well. I have Rachel Gardner 90 who says, Oman, I'm 14 months into a slow plod mountain biking around the world. Love tuning in. And I've also got stumbling_into things. Who's with you? Also in Oman, enjoying that 14 months that you spent together mountain biking around the world. And you say that you love the stories as well. I then have Nick World Cycle. You are currently cycling north through the Sahara. The winds are brutal out here. And I love the pod. Oh my gosh, heading north through the Sahara. You're right. They have a reputation, those headwinds. I cannot imagine it. And I'm just wondering, are you getting sandblasted as well? Stay strong. Keep the resolve. And hopefully you make a turn soon and get a cheeky tailwind somewhere. I then have Miriam Belkahel, previous podcast guest. Hello, Miriam. You're a legend. Miriam is tuning in from Africa every month in a different country. Listeners, if you don't know Miriam's story, please seek it out. She is from Morocco, headed all the way down to Cape Town via West Africa, and is on her way back up north. Her end destination is Mount Kilimanjaro. You're a legend, Miriam. Gaia on Wheels, you're currently in Zambia. And also, listeners, let's send out all our love to Gaia because they are currently recuperating from an illness at the moment which has had them off the road. So hope you can make a fast and full speedy recovery so that you can get out there and tour. Chris Maristani, Spain. You already know all about my bike adventures. Haha, I do, and we do, listeners. Chris is one of the rare fams who I have just recently interviewed. You're an absolute legend, and I love that you're tuning in. I have rotovelo_Nord. You said, I had to bail on the third Velobil crossing of Oz. My brain is 30, but my body is 60 plus, and you're tuning in from Australia. Look, I hope that you can get fully recovered and get back out there on your Roto Velo machine as well. Keep Up the Tension tells me you're tuning in from the USA. Arian.92. I'm tuning in from New Zealand right now. I'll soon be in French Polynesia and then back to Italy all the way with the bike. Absolute legend, Arian.92. I love your adventures and seeing them unfold. And then lastly, I have got Bree Bennett 1973. And you say, I'm tuning in from the UK. I'm starting my Le Jog 2-week challenge on the 19th of April and I'm raising money for the firefighters charity as well. Well, good luck to you. By the time this comes out, it will possibly only be a week away from you actually setting off. So I hope that listening to the podcast has helped inspire you for your own adventures, and well done for raising funds on this bike journey on Le Jog as well. There you go, listeners. Well, as you can see, we've got a pretty wide spread of countries covered there, and that's just a small microcosm of people who are tuning into the show. I love hearing about all of your adventure stories, and how awesome is it that this little bike travel podcast is being tuned into by people out there pedaling their bikes all over the world. And if you happen to be living in London or near London in the UK, or if you know people who are and they're into bike adventures as well, then why not join me and some previous podcast guests at our Beyond the Bike live sessions. We've got 2 live shows, both being held at Peckham Levels in London on the 14th and the 15th of May. It's a collaboration between myself and previous podcast guest Jude Krewald, and we will be joined each night by 2 different podcast guests and making up a panel of 4. We're going to have a great adventure discussion, show a couple of films every night, and then finish off with an awesome audience Q&A. Tickets are selling out fast, so if you want to secure your spot, either hit the link in the show notes or head to the Eventbrite website. Search in London events and look for Beyond the Bike and you will find us there. And I really hope to see you. Make sure that after the shows you come up and say hello. I always love meeting fans of the show. It's time for me to give you, my superfans, an awesome shout out for buying me some coffees. This week I'd like to give a shout out to bikerides1.bsky.social. And you've said, hi Bella, I love the pod and I love the focus on the people rather than techie things. I'm inching closer to it day by day. I need more self-help mechanic skills. Thank you, and thanks to your inspiring guests. By the way, the Cushendall picnic pee made me laugh. Oh, thank you so much, Bike Rides One. I had to have a little laugh when you mentioned Cushendall pee there. And listeners, if you don't know what that's about, check out my episode with David McCourt and all will be revealed. I'm super stoked that you're drawing inspiration by listening to these episodes, and I hope that you don't delay in getting yourself out there on the road. If it's anything I've learnt from all of my guests is that sometimes you don't need to have all the skills or all the answers to set off. If stuff happens, you will find a way. Keep me posted and let me know where you go. And next up, I have Cherie Simpson, and you say, hi Bella, thanks for bringing inspiring and like-minded people to my ear. I've been listening to your guests, particularly the solo female travellers, and they're giving me the confidence to ride the length of my own country. Now to plan the next one. Keep up the amazing work, Cherie from Aotearoa, New Zealand. Cherie, thank you. Oh, I'm super stoked to hear about your bike adventures. That ride through New Zealand must have been absolutely mega. I've seen the landscapes in New Zealand. I love them so much, and I can only imagine what it's like to discover them on two wheels as well. Thank you for being a super fan and supporting me out on the podcast. Now, listeners, if you would like to do as Bike Ride 1 and Cherie have done, you can also buy me some virtual coffees. Just simply head to buymeacoffee.com/Seek Travel Ride. Buy me some virtual coffees, and most importantly, leave me a message. Let me know where your bike adventures are taking you and what you love the most about the podcast. And until the next episode, I'm Bella Malloy. Thanks for listening. And before you go, don't forget, Beyond the Bike is happening soon in London on May 14 and 15. It's going to be an incredible night of stories, film, and adventure cycling insights with some of the most inspiring guests from the podcast. Tickets are available now, but they're not going to last. So head to the link in the show notes, grab yours, come to one night, or if you're a super fan, come to both. Grab your ticket before they're gone, and I hope to see you there. Before you go, just another shout out to our show sponsor, Old Man Mountain, and their new Hemlock bags with flip cages. They're fork-mounted packs which will attach securely with a hook and lever flip, ensuring a stable, rattle-free ride and easy removal. They're built for durability, they're ideal for your bikepacking adventures. Check them out at our custom link, oldmanmountain.com/Seek Travel Ride, or simply click the link in the show notes. Happy riding!